Hello and welcome to the big picture. The controversy related to the judiciary continues unabated. After retired Supreme Court Justice Markanday Karju created a sensation a couple of weeks back by making serious allegations related to a Madras High Court judge, he has once again made serious allegations about corruption in the judiciary. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court Chief Justice R.M. Lodha has, during the course of a hearing on a writ petition, expressed serious concern over the damage to the judiciary being caused by such allegations. He has even gone to the extent of saying that there are repeated attempts being made to defame the judiciary. He has also batted for the continuation of the Collegium system as against the proposed Judicial Appointments Commission. As the turmoil in the judiciary continues, with both the bar and the bench divided on many issues, and the government determined to go ahead and end the Collegium system, the question is, why is there so much turmoil? What is the reason behind it, and how is it affecting the justice system? And whether this is leading to some kind of a confrontation between the judiciary and the executive and the legislature. To discuss this, I have with me Veerappa Moily, former Union Minister, Justice B.A. Khan, retired Chief Justice of the Jammu and Kashmir High Court, H.K. Dua, MP and senior journalist, Prashant Bhushan, Supreme Court advocate, and Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of India. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Moily, I would like to come to you first. This, there seems to be some kind of a turmoil which is happening within the judiciary, between the judiciary and the executive, between the judiciary and the legislature. Why do you think this continues?
It's most unfortunate that this kind of a conflict should come across with such an important issue like the appointment of judges. In fact, I was law minister, and even earlier I have seen it, and even thereafter we have seen it. There was not that much of a confrontation between judiciary and executive. It is not a question, that who should have a upper hand, or who should have a say, or who should not have a say. The question is that, what is the best system this country should have in terms of appointment of judges.
Right.
And, all over the world, there are several systems. As a chairman of the Second Administrative Reform Commission, I made a lot of study abroad and also here, the system which was prevailing. Of course, no other country has a system like, judges appointing judges themselves. This is not that. But at the same time, there are different systems which have been adopted. It was well tested. But at the same time, in the process of arriving at a, the correct and objective decision in terms of appointment, in the process of appointment of judges, I don't think, each one should fight against other. That never happened. This was the first time. It also appears for the judiciary also that, somebody is targeting them. I think that kind of a feeling that, the political executive or rest are targeting the judiciary is most unfortunate. That is why, we need to make a lot of reconciliation. National concert. Yeah, correct.
Mr. Moily, this is, you have struck the right issue. In fact, the most worrying aspect is that now that none less than the Chief Justice of India is saying that there is some repeated attempt, there is attempts at defaming the judiciary. If such a feeling starts getting down in the judiciary,
that is why
a lot of damage.
That is what I am deriving at.
Yes.
I know that the very statement is agonizing. That statement has come from from Chief Justice of India himself.
Right.
That should not have come. That means to say something lacking from the political executive. And the debate is going towards that. That is how it is shown that I think political executive is targeting against the judiciary. No, this should not have come. Even earlier we have dealt with the subject, not in this way. There is a total confrontation. That is why I think we should, for the present, should not hurry up any bill. And, there should be proper reconciliation. And, the national consensus which has come in the process of appointment of judges and should have been taken forward, and which has not been done by the present government. They should have done it. In fact, that this process is not good. This approach is not good. I can understand the anguish on the part of the Chief Justice of India, because after all, he is the Chief Justice, top of the judiciary. He is heading it. He is a captain of the judiciary. Naturally, he has to defend the judiciary. Independence of judiciary cannot be compromised. I totally agree with him.
Okay.
At the same time, whether the present system will be all right. There are two things: one, integrity of the judges, the independence of the judges. At the same time, the efficiency of the judiciary.
Absolutely.
That is also equally important.
Mr. Moily will come to that.
That is how even
Moily
the national.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that aspect a little later. But you have raised some important points. Of course, you are blaming the present government for this, the latest round of what looks like a confrontation. I'll come back to you. Justice Khan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Justice Khan, there are two aspects to the present turmoil which we are witnessing. One is about what the about the whole appointment system itself. Now that the Supreme Court Chief Justice is defending the Collegium system, he's saying that that's the best system. The other aspect is about what he terms as defamation of the judiciary. Now, where is this coming from? In the last 1 month that we have witnessed, it has been one of your brother judges who has made some of the most serious allegations. So, is it a problem within the judiciary?
Girish, I don't buy that there is an organized effort to defame the judiciary if somebody points out to the infirmities of a forum or a mechanism, or if something is wrong with the judiciary itself.
Okay, I think there is a problem with the audio there. Let me get Mr. Prashant Bhushan in on this. Prashant, how do you look at this? Is it a problem within the judiciary? The same question which I was asking Mr. Justice Khan also. Is this a problem more and more from within the judiciary that we are seeing this kind of a turmoil?
No, this is the first time that somebody who has been an insider in the judiciary, a judge of the Supreme Court, is revealing in such detail problems about corruption, problems about lack of accountability, problems about the elevation and selection of judges through the Collegium system.
Right.
So in that sense, it is something unprecedented. But in my view, every exposure about how the system is functioning, what are the infirmities in the system, the corruption, the lack of accountability, or problems in the selection through the Collegium system, etc., they need to come out, because the people of this country need to understand what are the problems in the present system for reform to take place, or for a healthy discussion and debate about the kind of reforms that are required to take place. But at the same time, the executive should not use this exposure about the shortcomings in the present judiciary to try and muscle their way in, or try and get a sort of excessive say in the selection of judges, or a say in the accountability of judges, etc. Because independence of the judiciary from the government is as important as the integrity of the judiciary itself. Because
Prashant,
one of the main roles of the judiciary is to keep the government and the executive in check.
Okay, Prashant.
Therefore,
Prashant.
This whole debate, while it is welcome, it should not be used by the government as an instrument to try and get a foothold in the issue, on the matter of appointment as well as accountability of judges.
Okay, Justice Khan, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Okay, please continue. The same question which I
Girish,
asked you, and I just want to add what Prashant said. Prashant says that these kind of things coming out is good in the larger context, that people get to know what exactly happens. But is this the way that these things should come out?
I totally agree with Prashant. And if something is going wrong, if all is not well, and if that is debated or pointed out, that should be taken sportingly even by the Chief Justice of India. In fact, the Chief Justice of India must participate in such a debate and contribute to what can be a better mechanism. Now, is it not a fact that
I think there is again a problem with the audio there. Vikas Singh, how do you look at this entire thing? Two issues, as I pointed out to Justice Khan also. One is about the Chief Justice anguish about how he thinks that the judiciary is being defamed, and being targeted. The second issue is about the Appointments Commission, about how the judges should be appointed, about which will come a little later.
Well, I'll go on to the second issue first, because I think that's a much more important issue than the first issue. And that is that when the National Judicial Commission is being sort of tabled in Parliament, I believe it has been passed in the Lok Sabha today, it should have been done only after discussing the matter with the stakeholders, which is the Supreme Court judges and the Chief Justices of the High Court. It should not have been done unilaterally in the manner in which it has been done. And that actually gives an impression that the executive is wanting to control the judiciary, which is completely undesirable. According to me, the Collegium system has not worked up to the expectation of the people of this country. But that does not mean that the Collegium system should be changed. That only means that the Collegium system itself should be put in checks and balances and made more accountable. Like, for instance, what are the main allegations against the Collegium system? Number one, lack of credibility of selecting names. Number two, no comparative objectivity in the comparative analysis of those names. Number three is bias and nepotism, judges having their own juniors or their relatives being appointed. And lastly is the delay in appointment of judges.
Right.
Because there are large number of vacancies in the country which the Collegium system cannot justify. According to me, all this could have been codified and made into a law by making the Collegium system itself accountable. Like, for instance, they could make a law by saying that the Collegium will ensure that every recommendation is made at least 2 months before the vacancy arises. You know when a judge is going to retire, the date is known, unless if a judge dies in harness, that's the only date you don't know. But every other vacancy, you know what date it is going to come. Then the Collegium system can be made accountable by everybody having a right to send names. For instance, the Bar Association, the government, let everybody send names. But it will be considered by the Collegium itself. Thirdly, the Collegium could take the assistance of 2 eminent lawyers of each High Court who could rate the names on the basis of integrity, on the basis of professional competence. And lastly, then the Collegium would have to consider each and every name which is before them and then decide which is the best amongst them. If there is any judge who's a direct junior or his relative is in the list, then he should be asked to recuse and the next junior should be taken into the Collegium. Now, if any stakeholder discussion had taken place between the government and the Supreme Court as well as the High Courts, this kind of a suggestion could have come. By what Justice Karju has been exposing, firstly, I don't agree and I don't, approve of the manner in which he's exposing in the media, because he's really more defaming the media than trying to do any good. But secondly, even if you go to the merits of whatever he has said in his disclosure, it only discloses that the government is wanting to have a control in the appointment of judges. And so far they are doing it by sort of pressurizing the Collegium. Now with a member of law minister being a part of the Collegium and also in a sense having a veto as it is proposed in the National Judicial Commission bill, really speaking, they'll have a huge control over the appointment of judges.
Okay.
Now that is something which is according to me totally undesirable.
Okay.
When you say judges appoint judges, it gives an impression as if I am appointing myself. No, judges are appointing the other judges. It's not that judges are appointing themselves. Three senior most judges are deciding who will be the judges who will be inducted in the judiciary.
Okay, so Vikas Singh, I think you have made some important points. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Vikas Singh, Mr. Dua. Mr. Dua, where do you see the problem now? Because, we have been discussing about this for the last couple of years and now it's only getting worse by the day. The tensions between judiciary and the executive has only, gone up. Mr. Moily feels that during their government it was not as much as we find it today. But somewhere there is a problem within the judiciary also, right?
You see, this problem between government and Supreme Court on appointments has been there since 1993.
Right.
When Supreme Court arrogated it to itself all the powers of appointment. the collegium system has been naturally a little thorn in the flesh of the executive, more so the executive than parliament, but it has come under criticism, including from within the judiciary.
Exactly.
People like Chief Justice J.S. Verma, later Chief Justice, at that time he was on the bench, the 93 judgment, and he supported the collegium.
Right.
But later on, he said this has not worked in the interest of judiciary or justice. Eminent jurists like Fali Nariman, they have criticized the working of the collegium. There are others also.
Many of them.
So, and now, what Justice Markandeya Kharju has disclosed, it is shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
There has been corruption. Judges have been found corrupt, and he has been reporting to Chief Justices. Justice Kharju can be faulted. Why didn't he mention it earlier? But that's a minor point.
But he has...
When it comes to the force, it's a grist to the, grist to the mill. But long back, independence judiciary can be preserved provided its conduct also should be ideal. Long back, Justice C.M. Bharucha said in a statement in Kerala that 20% of the judiciary was corrupt at that time, and after that there have been more allegations, and it has included, it has led to decline of quality of justice in the lower courts of courts, high courts, and in some cases Supreme Court also. Some of the cases about judges were there. 2 cases for impeachment coming to the Rajya Sabha. Justice Somin Mitra and Justice Dinakaran. They escaped impeachment by resigning.
Exactly.
But there are other cases also which don't have come. And Justice Kharju has brought out cases, and the lately functioning of the collegium and the confrontation has come to the fore on Gopal Subramaniam's case as well as Manjunath's case.
Right.
But there is problem within the judiciary itself. Now, they have to set their own house in order. They have not found remedies for standards of judiciary as well as corruption in the judiciary. They should have found remedies, only then they can preserve the independence.
Mr. Dua, how do you look at today's statement by the Chief Justice of India that, there is a concerted attempt to defame the judiciary? This is a very, very serious...
I won't like, frankly speaking, I am always, as an editor, I have supported independence of the judiciary for 2 reasons. One, they always supported the freedom of the press. And second, it is the bulwark for watchdog for every citizen of the country. Kachari is the last hope. But in many cases, justice has gone by default. And Supreme Court cannot provide relief to the poor man who cannot reach the judiciary. On fundamental rights question, they have always stood for human rights and fundamental rights. But other cases, there are many things to be faulted for. They have to provide remedy for that. And one reason is the quality of judges reaching Supreme Court and the high courts and the Supreme Court is not as great as it used to be earlier.
Okay.
Now, that quality has to be maintained by independent-minded judges who have, rest of the judiciary should have faith in them. That's not happening according to Justice Kharju.
Okay. Mr. Moily, the Chief Justice of India today made one significant point. He says that the collegium system, he was one of the first judges to be appointed by the collegium system. And he says that, now all the judges who are there, whether in the Supreme Court or high courts of different states in the country, are all part of the collegium system, are all been appointed by the collegium system. And he says that, how can you find fault with all of them who are there? There may be a few black sheep, there may be a few problems with a few judges, but you can't paint everybody in the same brush and create this kind of a situation. How does the executive respond to this? I mean, forget... If you look at it as an issue with the executive, you are also part of the executive. You are now part of the parliament, legislature. So is this leading to some kind of a confrontation between the executive, parliament, legislature, and the judiciary?
I totally agree with the Justice, the Loda when he said that you cannot brush everybody on the same brush. There are excellent judges, and there are efficient judges, and there are cleanest judges. All these things are there. I do agree because what is happening around is to pollute the best environment which we enjoy. Of course, there may be some few black sheep. That doesn't mean you need to condemn the entire judiciary. That is what he meant. I don't think he is at any point of time, he said, present system is good and best. I don't think he has done that. Because throughout I have seen, I have had discussion with a number of them, including many of the Chief Justices of that time and Supreme Court judges, High Court Chief Justices, former Chief Justices. I think there is a total national consensus for a new system, objective, transparent, efficient system. And the very fact that the disposal is very weak and people are not still getting justice is a reflection that something is wanting. And we can't say that it's a foolproof system. And we need to make it an objective, more transparent, more efficient. With all this, this
so,
present collegiate system will not, serve that kind of a purpose.
No, Mr. Moily, sorry, Mr. Moily, are you saying that the collegium system should end? The Judicial Appointments Commission, which is now proposed, which has already come up in the Lok Sabha, is something which is the solution at this point of time?
But the solution is worst. I have seen the present bill, it is absolutely to confront the judiciary. I don't think, it is in consonance with the letter and spirit of the Constitution. It is not consonant with the judicial independence concept. And, I think practically it is a reaction to what is going around. I don't think it should be done like that.
Okay.
Again, I thought, that the present government will take the national consensus agenda forward. Instead of that, they have put it a U-turn. I think the present thing will further deteriorate things, and in fact, this is the upmanship of the political executive over the judiciary. I don't think.
Okay, we will witness some opposition, obviously, in the Rajya Sabha if this is the way the Congress thinks about it. I'll come to you, Mr. Dua. Before that, let me get Mr. Justice Khan in on this. Justice Khan, you there?
Yes.
Justice Khan, quickly, because we are running short of time. I want you to address this issue now. This whole collegium system, there seemed to have been a consensus that the collegium system should end and a new system should come in place. This was the attempt made by the previous government also. The new government has come up with an amended bill. And now the judiciary, the Supreme Court, no less than the Supreme Court Chief Justice of India is resisting to this new system. You think that this is leading to a confrontation?
No, there may not be a confrontation, but this is no answer, as Mr. Moily was saying. See, if you have to replace a system, collegium system, in which some deficiency or infirmity has been found, unless you correct that infirmity and deficiency in a proposed new system, you are doing what? It will end up in a disaster. Now, this new system is what? It's not broad-based. It's not based upon a debate. It's not based upon any national consensus. It is not giving representation to various sections. For example, if you look at South African model, you will find a 21-member collegium which gives representation to academics, to civil society, to lawyers, to this and to that. And in that system, it becomes very difficult to have the issue of likes and dislikes implemented in the selection.
Right.
Similarly, if you don't have a criteria in any new system, now in new system, what are you doing? You are replacing 2 judges of this collegium by 2 eminent people.
Right.
Now, who are those eminent people is a relative thing. They may be government people. That doesn't mean anything, and that is not going to lead to any reform. Now, reform will be if you create a broad-based which commission is independent of the government, which commission is independent of the judiciary, which commission has all the infrastructure, its own investigative mechanism, its own criteria of what is merit and what is not merit, then only the replacement will be good and for some good.
Okay.
But this way, it is only a cosmetic change, and in this, you will have the disease, this cure will be worse than the disease if you go ahead with this present legislation.
Okay, sir, okay. Yes, Mr. Dua, before I go to Prashant.
I have not yet seen the bill because it was presented in the Lok Sabha. Later on, it will come to the Rajya Sabha, but I am sure it will be sent to the Select Committee.
You mean it should be sent to the Select Committee?
It must be sent to the Select Committee. It's too important a bill. Number one, any proposal passed by Parliament should meet, also it should have the consent of the judiciary. Some consultations have been held with the eminent jurists and former judges. Many of them emphasized one point, that the Judicial Appointment Commission is important Neither the executive should be able to pack the court, nor judiciary should choose its own colleagues. Independent body like Judicial Appointments Commission should be able to. But here, to see to it that judiciary's independence is not cut in any way, the predominance of the membership should belong to the judiciary.
Okay.
Now, that is one way to do it.
But Prashant?
But no case, independence of the judiciary should be curbed. That,
Okay.
that is sacrosanct.
Prashant, you know, there was a feeling that there were, you know, everybody wanted this collegium system to end, a new system should be in place. Now we seem to be back to square one, going by what everybody on the panel here is saying. So where do we go from here? And also this anguish expressed by Chief Justice of India, what kind of a atmosphere will prevail now if there has to be any kind of a consensus?
See, independence of the judiciary is as important as integrity of the judiciary and competence of the judiciary. Now, in order to ensure independence, the Supreme Court, through the second judge's judgment, had wrested control of the appointment system. However, and that did secure that did ensure that independence of the judiciary was better protected than in the earlier system where the government controlled the appointments.
Right.
Actually, in order to protect the independence of the judiciary, it is important to ensure that while the government's inputs about selection can come, but the government should not have any substantial say in the matter of appointments. The present bill gives veto to the government, which is totally wrong. The problem with the collegium system was, firstly, they did not have time. See, sitting judges are very busy, even the law minister is very busy. That's why the present proposed National Judicial Commission also will not work. We need a full-time body if you are to go about the job of selecting people in a rational manner by considering all the nominees, evaluating them on a predetermined criteria, and doing the process with some transparency. Because the second issue that is important is transparency in this system. The minimum transparency required is that when you prepare a shortlist, before you make the appointments, you must put that shortlist out on a public website so that members of the public should have an opportunity to provide their inputs about the nominees.
Okay.
Because sometimes the authorities do not know, or they close their eyes to several problems that may exist with the proposed appointees, as Justice Kashmir pointed out. And if the public came to know, they would point those out. So that is why we need a permanent body.
Okay, permanent body.
To select these judges, which should be a full-time body, not an ex officio body.
Okay.
Which should have sufficient time, as Justice Khan said, which should have sufficient resources under it, sufficient staff under it to be able to prepare a criteria, evaluate the nominees on the basis of that criteria, evaluate the comparative merits.
Okay, Prashant, we are running out of time. Sorry, we are running out of time. Very quickly, Vikas saying the anguish expressed by the Supreme Court Chief Justice, where do you think it will lead to? Do you think that this will be, and now by going by what all of you on the panel are saying, that the present Judicial Appointments Commission bill itself is fundamentally weak?
Well, according to me, the anguish expressed by the Chief Justice of India is clearly showing that there is a confrontation which the executive is wanting to take, or the legislature is wanting to take with the judiciary, which is definitely not desirable. I mean, if they had taken the stakeholders like the judges into confidence and thought of something which would be acceptable to them, it could have gone through. But you know, in this country, the final arbiters of whether the law is as per the constitution or not is with the Supreme Court, with the judges of the Supreme Court. So on the judicial side, they can always take up this matter, and I'm sure very soon somebody will file a PIL. And this matter will definitely be before the Supreme Court. They will have the final say. So in this kind of a rushed exercise, ultimately, if it is struck down, what purpose will it serve?
Okay, so really I think on that note we need to end.
Confrontation is
okay, Vikas. We are completely run out of time. On that note, we need to end. It's quite a pessimistic atmosphere in which we are ending this program. We thought that this judicial appointments bill will go through, but there obviously seems to be a lot of reservations about about the bill itself and how it has been brought. We'll wait and see what happens. But what the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court today said is certainly a matter which is very serious and needs to be taken note of by all concerned. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Veerappa Moily, Vikas Singh, Justice B.A. Khan, Prashant, Bhushan, H.K. Dua. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.